Hello driving intelligence community. Well, if you watch my channel enough, and I hope you do, you'll know that I'm constantly trying to update my old vehicles. I'm not into the new vehicles. The quality is just not there. And just some of the things that are going on with these new companies just kind of bother me, especially Ford. I might do a video about that sometime in the future. My oldest vehicle is a 1985 Mustang SVO. My newest one is a 2006 Cadillac CT-SV. And of course, I've updated all these, but the specific focus in this video, once again, is my 2002 10th Gen F150. Now, I've done a lot of lighting upgrades because the opportunity presented itself. I spent some time in a junkyard. I see things that I can do, plus the forums I go to. So in this video, I want to talk about several lighting projects that I've done that are relatively simple. I'll put all of the products in the description of this video, so you make sure you check that out. But I'm going to focus on headlights, the side view mirrors that have the integrated turn signal lights, the gauge cluster lights, the HVAC control panel lights, and also the door lights, the interior door panel lights. All those I've updated. It's really cool. I've used some LEDs for this. Again, all that will be linked below. While you're down here, please give me that thumbs up. Now, I also want you to remember that I've done some interior console customization. This is from a console that I pulled out of a Lincoln Navigator. I've done some LED updates to that, so I'll list that video in the description below. Now let's get into the first item, the headlights. Before I get started on headlights, make sure you check out my video showing how a 10th Gen F150 owner might be able to convert their truck to automatic headlights. The video is linked in the description and is a super cool upgrade. I would be remiss if I didn't first talk about the headlight assembly. I made a video showing the Autosavers 88 smoked headlight install on my 2002 Harley-Davidson F150. They look great, but in my opinion, the best replacement headlight assemblies come from late model restoration. LMR's headlights are an exact match and have been dependable and leak-free for over 3 years, and I think the clear lens makes for a much more modern look. Moving on to the Bosola LED headlights for the 10th Gen F150, and of course with this number they have applications for many vehicles, this particular unit. So open it up, we see the user manual, and here we have the proper connection and the LED headlight that has a pretty nice sized heatsink and an integrated fan. Installation is the reverse of removal. If you want to see the detailed install, check out my smoked headlight install video linked in the description of this video. I also checked the electrical connections before final install. Installation of these Bosola LED headlight bulbs is very critical, and I found out the hard way. I got a lot of flashes from oncoming drivers. Wasn't quite sure how to adjust these. The instructions didn't tell me, but what's critical is this needs to be in a vertical position, not horizontal but vertical. And for me, the wiring, this wire needs to be on top so that the projection of the low beams is down low, and then the projection of the high beams is out further so you can see further away. So I found that just pushing them in straight up and down with this wiring harness coming in at the top makes for the perfect installation of the bulb. Now you can't hardly see it back there, but the shape of all of this gives the proper light pattern. So when the low beam side of the LED bulb is reflecting, it's going to push the light pattern down toward the road, closer to the front of the vehicle. And when the high beam side is on, it's going to reflect out toward much further forward of the vehicle. So again, make sure you keep that in mind when you install these. Test it before you go driving at night, because you will blind oncoming drivers, or you'll affect your own ability to see the road properly. It's cool to install LED bulbs, but is there a benefit? Before and after tells the story. The LED bulbs are much whiter and brighter. Sorry for the quality of the before photo, but the improved visibility is obvious, and with the proper adjustment of the bulb, I'm not blinding oncoming drivers. Now moving on to the interior door light. This little upgrade is pretty easy and from my perspective enhances the interior of the truck, providing a warm glow versus blinding light. For whatever reason, Ford changed the door panel lights from solid red to white and red, perhaps to provide more ground lighting when getting in and out of the vehicle at night. In the junkyard, I noticed that some F-150s had the solid red lighting and decided to make the change, but to enhance this mod, I also switched to LED bulbs. The door lights require size 194 bulbs, and you'll need to remove the door panel to both change the light assembly and replace the bulb. I linked the bulbs I used and the video showing how to remove the interior door panel in the description. Now let's move on with the HVAC control module. This is actually pretty simple to do. There are 4 screws that hold the control module in, but you have to take off this trim piece first, and that just snaps by pulling it straight back. Now the beauty of this one is it uses the exact same bulbs as the door panel lights. Now this is the pack of LEDs I got. They're dimmable. Again, I'll link these in the description of this video. You can check them out, but let's install these and see how they work out. Here you can see the 2 locations for the bulbs. Now if you ever have to remove this, this is pretty easy. It's typical electrical connections with the little tabs on it that you pull out to get it out. This one you have to compress. But the one thing that's a little difficult is this vacuum connection here that goes right here. And to get that out, you got to pull these tabs on the upper and lower side out to release it off of these little tabs here. And then you can pull the whole vacuum unit out. But be very careful. You don't want to separate this because you'll have a vacuum leak and your air conditioning system won't work properly. All right, so it turns out these LEDs are polarized, so you might have to turn them 180 degrees to make them work. I did. But now you can see nice and bright. I have really good illumination here. The only problem is this is supposed to be red, but this is so white that it's pushing through and showing white on this side for the warm setting, but I can live with it. Now on to the gauge cluster lights. You can see they're not very bright, especially when you compare it to the HVAC controls with the new LED lights in there. So I'm going to have to pull this gauge cluster out to replace them with the LED units that I got on Amazon. I'll link below. Really small little bulbs, more than you need, but let's get started. The process begins by removing the headlight switch, then removing this piece of trim that just snaps in place. This piece here that goes all the way around the gauge cluster is removed with several screws, and then we can get to the gauge cluster itself. All right, all those pieces of plastic are out of the way, and now I've got to take out some small screws to get the gauge assembly out so I can replace the bulbs. Okay, with a little bit of squeezing my hands in there, actually looks like a little bit of an injury. I got the electrical connectors disconnected, and then there's little clips that you squeeze in to get the transmission indicator out. But now, I'll turn this upside down. I need to take out only a few of these that enhance the gauge display. So it's the ones that are black that I'm going to replace. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can use some needle nose pliers to pull those out and make the replacement. Now the key is that LEDs are polarized, so they have to go in a certain way and one directional. So I'm going to have to put them in, test it, see how they come out, and then if any are not switched properly, I need to take them out, turn them 180 degrees, and put them back in. Something I just figured out as I'm installing this, and see if we can see this easily. The electrical contacts are on the top side, so it's not on this side of the circuit board. So I have to use my holders for the bulbs instead of these, because these only connect or contact from the bottom. So if you're doing this, make sure you check that, but the contacts need to be from the inside of the circuit board, not from the back side of the circuit board. Well, I got lucky putting all those bulbs in the right way the first time, and that is a huge difference. Now it matches the HVAC, nice and bright, dimmable. And actually look at the pointers. The pointers are a light blue, white. Really impressive how that turned out. So I used the white LEDs, retained the green screen on the gauge cluster facing. I really like the way that looks. I'm a little surprised at how that turned out, pleasantly surprised. So yeah, this was a good project. Closing out this 10th Gen F150 lighting video is the side view mirrors. Now this focuses on the integrated turn signal lights. Many of the F150s didn't come with this, but some did. Here you can see mine. I modified mine to include this because the electrical connections were already there. but you're going to have to take off this cover to get to this bulb. Now to do that, you got to drop your mirror all the way down, and then you're going to access two clips. There's one right here, and there's another one right there. You have to gently pry those up at the same time to pull the cover off. And once the cover's off, then of course you can get to this bulb. I've got the cover off, and you can see that those clips are very delicate, so you don't want to just rip it out. There are two more clips on the bottom that just slide in, slides in from the bottom and pushes in from the top. And there's the bulb. You just want to unlock that socket, and you'll have access to the bulb. Here I've got my nice big and bright red LED installed. And again, I'll link these below, but assembly is just the reverse, very simple. And you'll have all your lighting done, or at least those several projects done for your truck, which will enhance your visibility, your enjoyment. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, give me that thumbs up, and I'll see you next time on Driving Intelligence.